Reflections on Psalm 11. In the Lord I take refuge. How can you say to my soul, flee like a bird to your mountain? For behold, the wicked bend the bow, they have fitted their arrow to the string, to shoot in the dark at the upright in heart. Yet the foundations are destroyed. What can the righteous do? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyes see, his eyelids test the children of man. The Lord tests the righteous, but his soul hates the wicked and the one who loves violence. Let him rain coals on the wicked. Fire and sulfur and a scorching wind shall be the portion of their cup. For the Lord is righteous. He loves righteous deeds. The upright shall behold his face. One of the best things about this particular psalm is the question that David opens with. He says, before quoting those who are offering their counsel to him in the face of trouble that they're facing, he says to them, how can you say to my soul? He essentially says, do you have any idea what you're talking about? Like, how can you say these things, these nonsensical things, these dumb things? The reality is that David's actually facing significant trouble. The wicked have come and surrounded him. The wicked have bent the bow. They've fitted their arrow to the string. They've threatened to attack in the dark, to kill those who stand uprightly before the Lord. They've threatened even worse, to destroy the very foundations of God's city, of God's people. And if that happens, then what are the righteous going to do? What on earth can we do? In the face of trouble like that, in the face of all kinds of different troubles, the temptation in that moment is fear. The temptation in that moment is anxiety. The temptation in that moment is, we've got to get out of here. We should flee like a bird to the mountain. We should keep our heads down. We shouldn't let any arrow come and strike us. Let's just try to keep quiet. Not let the world, not let the wicked around us know what's actually going on. It's time just to put our heads down and flee. In the face of that, David says, what are you talking about? How can you say things like that? Now, how can David respond to what looks like very significant trouble, very real problems, very real threats to him and to the people of God? How can he say, what are you talking about? Well, he says it on the basis of a handful of things that shape his understanding of every circumstance that he's in, things that should shape our understanding of every circumstance we're in. He says first that the Lord is in his holy temple, the Lord's throne is in heaven. He knows who God is and he knows where God sits. God's not off distracted somewhere. God isn't threatened by the wickedness of men. He's not questioning what's going to happen this year in the election. He's not looking out at the world. He's not looking at the state of the Christian church anywhere and going, oh man, I wonder what's going to happen next. You see, God is on his throne. He rules over all of it, over everything. Nothing can shake that. No troubles, no threats from the wicked, no violent men. None of that can be shaken, can shake the reality that God is on his throne. Second, David not only knows where God is, he knows how God acts. He knows what God does in history. He says the Lord tests the righteous. He brings trouble to all sorts of people, even to the righteous people, even to those who belong to him. God hasn't put us in a nice, easy, rated G world. He's put us in a world in which he sovereignly, by his providence, brings trouble all the time. And that trouble is to test the righteous. But listen to this, but in verse 5, but his soul hates the wicked. Those troubles serve one of two purposes. For the righteous, it tests, it refines, it matures us. For the wicked, it's an act of God's wrath, his judgment, his hatred. And so David knows where God is. He knows he's on his throne. He knows he's not distracted. He sees what's happening. And he also expects the trouble that he encounters. Because this is what God does. He brings trouble. But he also knows this. He brings judgment on the wicked. And in the end, The righteous will see his face. Those who trust in him, trust his word, trust that the forgiveness purchased for us in Jesus is ours, who trust that God's law is true and good and wise. Those will see the face of God, no matter what trouble we're encountering.